Hey guys, so I did this recording once before and I realized I left out the most important part of creating the sound, so I'm going to do it again. This is going to be a sound on the bend bass. I'm going to show you what it sounds like in context first. This is one of my songs called FFS. Now, this sound right here and then this sound too. Let me turn off my leads fairly quickly. Now, these are the two sounds I'm going to teach you how to make, hopefully fairly quickly. But I don't want to rush it. I want to go over everything. First sound is this one. And to make this sound inside of massive, we're going to turn on all the oscillators, and we're going to go to File, New Sound, and if you have a weird massive, and we all know why your massive does this, but make sure you turn up the level all the way up and the attack all the way down. I believe by default on the weird massives it looks something like that. Just turn it up and back. Looks like this. In regular massive it looks like that. Just turn the level all the way up and the attack all the way down. Now, inside of the oscillator 1 tab, we're going to set it to a square sawtooth 1. And we're going to drop down the pitch 5. Intensity is not very intense. It is at about 7 o'clock. Then we have our bend minus / plus for the type. Next oscillator down, we have a square sawtooth 2 again. This one's dropped 2 octaves. Wavetable position all the way up, intensity all the way up. Amp is at about 3 o'clock. Same with the amp on oscillator 1. Oscillator 3 is a mellow mantic, found right there. It is still set to spectrum. It is dropped 24. And these are all set to full. This is a very good sub bass. I'm going to turn off everything and just show you. It's just got that low to it. And it might sound weird because of the other effects added over here, but it's usually a nice, solid, clean, deep bass. Now, in the feedback, we have it a little bit past post A. It's pointing at the A in post A. We have a bit crusher with the crush set to full and the dry wet set to 50-50. If it's not set to 50-50, what you can do is just double click it and it'll set it to there by default. Sine shaper, the dry wet's set to full, and you're going to have to adjust the drive to get the sound, but I've found pointing towards the M in macro control. It's a perfect way to do it. Band pass, all of these are default settings, so just double click all these knobs and then they're good. Low pass, resonance at 0. Cutoff is at 3 o'clock. Make sure you set this to parallel. Set the mix in the middle. Turn this up if it's not. And then over in filter 1, route it to filter 1. In oscillator 1, route it to filter 1. In oscillator 2, route it to filter 1. And in oscillator 3, route that to filter 3. Next, the routing isn't anything complicated. I believe this is default routing. But in the voicing tab, set the unisono to 4, set it to monophone, and in the oscillator tab right over here, turn the time down just a little bit, where it's pointing at that T. Now, the first FX slot is a classic tube, found towards the bottom. Dry wet is set to double click, 50-50, double click it, it'll set it to default. And then the drive is set almost in between 3 and 2 o'clock, maybe like 2:45. Dimension expander, they're both set at 1/4, which would be about 9 o'clock. And then in the EQ, you boost the lows, boost the highs, not as much as you boost the lows. Boost the lows all the way. Highs a little bit less than half. And because you boost these lows to prevent clipping in this master channel, you're going to want to turn this down to about 1/4 until you notice that the volume is stopping right before it's getting to max. there. And that should be it for the sound. There is no modulation, there is no noise. And that should be it. Now I'm going to close this one, and I'm going to move on to the next one, which is the wobble. There's two ways to get this wobble sound. One, just duplicate duplicate the bass that you just created, and put a auto filter on it. If you prefer creating dubstep wobbles this way, then this might be the best method for you. But if you prefer the LFO method, then it won't work as well. Now I'm going to show you what this method sounds like very quickly first. And I think that's a very meh sound compared to the one that I have here. That's a little bit more brutal. Very dubsteppy. Now in the bend wobble, that's what I named this. They're bend basses because it uses bend, just like a format saw is a format saw. So this one's set to bend minus. Yeah. Wavetable position is pointing towards the N, and intensity is all the way up. And so is the amp. An oscillator 2. Oh, pardon me. Drop it 24. And then this one you're going to drop 24. These are all going to be detuned down 2 octaves. And then the wave position is pointing at the N in both of these, and all the rest of them are full in all of these filters and oscillators. Filters stay at the middle. In the modulation oscillator tab, our phase is set for 3 with a little bit of modulation, not too much, still at 0. The bright noise is pointing a little bit after the amp, pretty much pointing towards the off here in phase. Feedback is useless here. Inside insert 1 we have a parabolic shaper found right here, and they're both set to 50-50. As I said before, just double click it and we'll set it to center. The sine shaper, the drive is set all the way up. The dry wet is set to about 1/4. In our filters, we have a low pass and a scream. This low pass is set with 0 resonance and set into the center for the cutoff. The trick for double clicking does not work on filters. If I double click this filter, it'll set it to a little bit right there. See? But I want this to be centered, so I have to manually bring it into the center. The scream is pointing towards the C. The resonance is pointing towards the R in the scream filter. Find the scream filter. It's right here. This volume is a little bit less than this one. Make sure you have the mix and parallel set. We have our classic tube and dimension expanders in the same fashion as before. And then our EQ, we have a little bit of a low end boost and a little bit of a high end boost. This sound is a little bit more evenly distributed than the other one. This one does not have a unisono, and this one is still polyphon. And there you go. Also, if you want, you can set the pitch bend up and down. The pitch bend was mildly important for me towards here, I believe, but with this bass. So, if you want to hear the full song, it is on my channel. FFS is the name of it. And I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If you want more specific sounds, I guess when you hear my music, you can ask, and I'll be glad to accommodate. If you want any specific tutorials on anything, any specific genre, or just any sound, I can try my hardest to find out how to make that sound for you, and pass it on. So, thank you for watching. This has been how to make a bend bass, and if you liked it, click like and subscribe.